I'm Steve Hurst, and I'm the Associate Dean for Campus Life and Student Development, and am presenting today for the Student Services Fee Request for Student Rights and Responsibilities, which is our conduct office. So here you have our mission. You'll see, I won't read it all to you, but you'll see that it's deeply rooted in having a very educational process for our student population. I really take a lot of pride in the fact that we're not a punitive office. It's not about punishing. It's about really trying to identify what is going to help our students learn from the experiences that they have and the choices that they may have made, so that they can move forward in a different way the next time they recognize those experiences. So the first part is who we are. We've got two full-time professionals, myself and our Associate Director, Marcy Lewis. We've got one full-time admin assistant and one grad assistant. The grad assistant has been a real challenge to identify someone that has the skill set that we need in order to help with our caseload and our volume. And you'll see how that's increasing quite a bit. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, so this is 2 years ago, 653 total for a full 12-month period. And then last year we were a little bit up at 692. This is, we still have about 4 months left in this year, and we're already at 842. So the caseload has really significantly increased. We're not part of the body that drums up cases. Those are delivered to us, so we don't have a whole lot of control over the volume that's coming in. Those are largely coming from residential living and learning incident reports, and then the other significant piece, of course, is coming from the University Police Department. This has been our population. We were finally able to identify a graduate assistant in the last month or so, and she is completing her training, and so now she's to the point where she can help us. Of course, we've only got a few weeks left of this semester, but that's okay, because she should be with us for all of next year too, which will really be a big help. I mentioned all of that to say that we do have some cost savings this semester, or this year rather, because we didn't have a grad assistant in that role in the fall. We just had failed searches. Okay, so in addition to our staff, we have the option of going to university hearing boards. For that, we train dozens of faculty and staff members within our community. You can kind of see the trends here. 2 years ago, there were 51 members of trained panelists that heard 45 cases. Last year, it dipped a little bit. Since I wasn't here at the time, I can't really account for that trend, but heard 23 cases last year. Thus far, we're at 20 cases. So what would we send to a hearing board versus just hearing it administratively from either Marcy or myself? These tend to be very high-level violations. Sometimes it's a little bit of a feel of, well, do we want an extra sets of eyes to really weigh in on this? Is it that important to the outcome of the student themselves that we really feel like we need more than one person making some judgments on a particular case? Of course, appeals would also go to a university appeal board. Student organizations tend to involve a lot of different people, a lot of different moving parts, and are far more complicated. So that's another good opportunity for a hearing board. And of course, sexual misconduct or Title IX investigations that have resulted in a referral to our office office would certainly go to University Hearing Board. Okay, so I mentioned that we're educational in nature. So what does education and the conduct experience look like? So just our previous presenter, the Counseling Center is a very strong partner for LEAP. LEAP is a sanction that we have available to us through that partnership with their office that provides one-on-one or group educational assessments for substance abuse. So for a lot of alcohol and drug abuse cases, LEAP is currently our primary go-to for that sanction, but definitely educational. The conduct process, as I said, that in and of itself, it provides a really great learning opportunity. I frequently say that the students come in there kind of vulnerable. They're a little unsure what might happen to themselves. And so, we're able to get to some really good conversations about choices that they may have made and really try and identify and pinpoint the moment that they made that decision and what factors might have influenced their decisions, so that we can help them kind of game plan and think about it, because more than likely they're going to be in similar environments in the future. And so, so if they can figure out all of the different things that influence them in their decision that they made, maybe the next time they find themselves in that same position, they're going to be able to recognize those surroundings and recognize all of those influencers, so that maybe they can make a healthier choice moving forward. I'm really proud of the fact that Commerce has not been a fining institution. I don't, as I say right here, I don't believe it's socially responsible, because a $75 fine for a first-time drug offense, for someone that comes from a more affluent family, that's a drop in the bucket for their monthly stipend that they get from their parents, right? But for a high-need student, that could be, 2-3 months spending money. That could be their excess money that they have, and there's nothing left after that. Or they don't have it to begin with. So it disproportionately impacts the students. I'm not a big believer in fining students. You can see some of the other things that we have. $12,000 for alcohol EDU. This has been another sanction. To tell you the truth, we really don't have a ton of cases that are coming from alcohol instances. Far and away, the leader is marijuana. And so for that reason, the last 2 or 3 months, we've been conducting an assessment to see about a similar program that would allow us another opportunity for an educational sanction that's more specifically tied to marijuana. You can see some of our 2018-19 initiatives. A lot of these I cannot take credit for. My predecessor was responsible for making sure that there was a Spanish translation provided for the Student Code of Conduct, which is fantastic. It makes us more accessible to our students, and I'm grateful for that. One of the initiatives this year was just to have a successful transition. I came on in August, and it was a lot of information with almost no lead time to start the year. One of the things we've done throughout the year is reviewing the policy. So as wanted to take advantage of me being new and fresh eyes and asking lots of questions, so throughout the year we've been making notes on just, does this make sense? Is this fair for our students? Is this the fairest way to move forward? So we were very successful this year, I think. Looking ahead to next year, we want to look to a combined program, alcohol and marijuana. I think we're going to move away from alcohol EDU and go to something that's a little bit more robust, hopefully, in e-chug and e-checkup. Those are two different modules in one. We want to create and assess student learning outcomes. So if we're all about education in our process, then we need to measure what our students are learning and if we're effective. So that's a goal for next year, and this is something I'm really, really proud of, and hope to look to student government as potential partners, at least for broadcasting and making our student population aware of this opportunity. We're starting out with a board of student conduct advisors. So one of the things that I identified this year is that a lot of our students, particularly if they were in a very serious case, they were really put at a disadvantage because they don't know the code of student conduct, and a lot of the language in the code is kind of hard to understand. Some of it, I've worked in this world for 15, 16 years, maybe longer, and I didn't really fully understand what the code was always saying. So our students were coming in, not only are they a little bit anxious coming in, but you layer in the fact that they don't understand anything about our process. And so, so Marcy and I have taken it upon ourselves to schedule a 1-hour meeting with those students just to give them some advice, make sure that they feel confident coming in there, because that's best for the entire process. The board appreciates that the student is prepared for the discussion, but the student feels confident that they're giving their best selves in those instances. So we want to create a student leadership position that is doing what we've been doing throughout this year, because it's peer leadership, right? Speaking Crystal's language now. But so that's something we're really, really excited about. This is, well, at least I am. This is our top initiative, if I had to star one thing. And then substantive updates. So we reviewed the code throughout this year, made notes. This summer is where we really need to put the work in and look for opportunities to update it. Okay, some more numbers to throw at you over here on the left-hand side. So in 16-17, there were 109 incidents reported. 17-18, 210 instances. This year, I broke it down. This is our BIT and CARE team, by the way. Sorry, I should have prefaced that. Our BIT and CARE team, the behavioral intervention team, is the group that reviews cases where students are maybe in crisis or having emergencies, or they're a threat to themselves or others. So this is a very high acuity cases, I guess you might say. So this year our numbers have increased dramatically, as you can see, a total of 342 compared to 210 last year and 109 the year before. Out of the BIT cases, which are the most severe cases, we've had 27 unique students appear, and 3 of those 27 had multiple instances. You heard a lot about the Counseling Center talking about suicide ideation and suicide attempts. We've spent a lot of time on cases like that this year, where some of our students, unfortunately, are grappling with those things. So the history behind teams like this is born from the Virginia Tech shootings, if everybody remembers those. So they're designed to be a huge safety net to prevent things like that from happening, but broader than mass shootings on campus, it's also, and more likely, those suicide attempts. So trying to connect students with resources that they need is a big, big initiative and undertaking from the BIT team. So. Okay, campus outreach, trainings and workshops. I'm going to speed it up a little bit here. There's significant opportunities, as you can see, for us to be more forward-facing rather than reactive to the students that are coming to us. So we're trying to provide education throughout the year. Our professional development, it's critical that we stay on top of best practices in these areas. So, we've been very intentional, and I'm very excited and proud of Marcy. This is something that is unique and that we were able to offer to her this year because of some of those cost savings from our not having a grad assistant in the fall. It's a fairly intensive institute, so this isn't a conference, but a week-long institute hosted by the American Association of Blacks in Higher Education, and so she was selected to attend this summer. So, so that's a tremendous opportunity for her. If funding is cut, we'll have to make some very, very difficult decisions. I will tell you that having been a non-voting member of this committee, I was aware of the challenges. So if you compare everything outside of the bid request, if you look to that pot, it was drastically reduced. I cut it by several $1,000s. The bid addition of a budget, last year I think the bid request was $500 for some marketing materials. This year it's a request of $14,000. So unfortunately, even though I cut on a lot of things from last year, the addition of a sizable budget request for bid resulted in a net increase. So what is that money going towards that it didn't have before? So the very first thing that I was told to do is to work on building structure for our bid team. It is one of those things that you can't ignore. It is critical to any university's operations. And almost every member of the bid team had approached me when I first started in talking about how it was in disrepair. It really needed significant attention, and so we focused a lot on that. But I think one huge symptom of this has been, or one reason for the symptoms that we've experienced is there's been no training. So the members of the team at the beginning of the year didn't know what their roles were and how to carry out their roles. So we've done a lot of work on our own this year, but we need to bring in some experts to provide some education and to continue to invest in our team, sending them to national conferences so that they can stay up to date on what's required. So that's where we are. We don't generate any revenue. Like I said, we don't fine. Consequently, we're relying on these funds to carry out our operations. All right, that's it. Any questions? No? Okay. All right, thank you all.